Welcome everyone to another beautiful day. Yes, today, last show we spoke about the infinite pulse of love, and today we're going to talk about how this was processed and shown to me over time and how it links back and ultimately unites all cultures from my perspective, and this is by God's grace. And it ultimately connects to music, and namely the drum. So this is known as a pellet drum, and it's also known as a damaru drum or damru, a monkey drum, a spirit drum. There are many different names, and this is how you play it. And this, I just got this because years ago, my two sons and I had visited and sat with a Tibetan monk many, many years ago here in St. Pete at the Longhouse in Gulfport. And he had one of these, and I believe I was introduced to one of these through Zen Buddhism back in my early 20s at Mount Tremper Monastery in New York. I don't recall it, but I'm sure they had them because these are used in different forms of Buddhism. But I definitely recall actually getting one of them for my sons from this monk, and it's broken now, but it was a smaller, more wider version of it. This one I ordered from, and I didn't realize who it was going to come from, but it came from the African Heartwood Project. So, and they do awesome stuff, and I'll put links to them below. Really a wonderful mission. They do a lot of work with musical instruments that are handmade, and they do a lot of charity work to help ease the suffering in Africa. So definitely awesome. So there's a lot to describe with this. As I've been processing unity and freedom over the many, many years, I would see it as, actually first I saw it as water molecules. But again, I was interfaced with this infinity symbol all the time since I was really young. And I always felt like everywhere I would look, I would be faced with this infinity symbol everywhere. And it was like this limit. And it ultimately was not fun. I used to experience it like in my mind in these vivid, lucid dream states, where I would see this huge infinity symbol clanging, and I would always be caught in these spirals and faced with infinities that were just, this is just the way it is, like there's no going beyond this point. Anyway, I always felt trapped. Now, starting back in the early 2000s, when I consciously was receiving unity and freedom, and that this was what I was experiencing. I would be playing music ministry, playing drums. For many years, I used to do that at First Unity. I started in actually, how it all really began processing was playing one of these. This is called a djembe. This is actually a West African djembe. This is my favorite drum I've had for many, many years. And it's handmade, beautiful Iroko wood. So I joined into this music ministry group, and somewhere between 2005 or maybe a little earlier in 2009, somewhere in that window. And it was called Soulfire. And I remember being called to the sound of the drum. And I had been in such a place of depression and suicide and all this stuff, and just feeling so low and down. And I was supposed to go to a men's group, and instead I followed the call of this drum beat. And even though my mind was saying, you're not supposed to go there, you're supposed to go here, I just kept following the sound of the drum. And next thing I know, I look in and it said Soulfire Tryouts, and I felt this wave of fear, like, I'm not a drummer, even though I've always felt musically oriented and played guitar since I was 15, but I never focused on it, and I always had some reason to tell me not to, and I wasn't good enough. Anyway, I went through those doors, and that's when I played the first that I recall in this lifetime. I played this small djembe. Next thing you know, I start facilitating drum circles, healing and empowerment drum circles, where the birth of I am safe, I am free, I am loved, I am happy came from the center of Mother Earth through my heart. The story goes on and on, but the beat of that drum is what saved my soul, essentially, and allowed me to connect back to the truth of who I am and how to process what this life is, and all this message of unity and freedom. So, again, even long before that, well, I would say probably somewhere in 2010, 2011, maybe 2012, my sons and I went and saw this satin meditation where I taught yoga at the Longhouse. And again, I was looking at this. And this I knew right away. I saw just basically the infinity, and to me I saw the expansion and contraction of the universe. And I remember the monk saying something to the gist of that. This is what we are experiencing in the universe, is just this expansion and contraction. And we would just sit there and look at this while he would play it. And then I got one, and I would play it, and my kids would play it. But to me, it just, once again, was like, okay, that's what we're experiencing, is this breathing thing. And I had been seeing that since I was little anyway. But it didn't help me. It just made me continue to feel trapped. And then in the I would say the mid to late 2000s, when I was playing music ministry at First Unity, doing these sound healing services and playing the djembe, I would always be seeing unity and freedom, and I would ask God to show me. And God would constantly show me water. And I work in science, so I see things in chemistry as well. But unity and freedom was like, so there's water. Now when you have a bunch of water molecules, you have, these are H2O. This is a covalent bond. So these are they're much stronger bonds that bond the hydrogen to the oxygen. Then you have extra electrons here. And we're not going to get into it a lot, but I would see these water molecules. God would be showing me them. And what happens is you have these little bonds. Imagine if there's a whole bunch of H2Os all around each other. These are called hydrogen bonds, where there's an attraction between the unpaired electrons on the oxygen and the hydrogen. And these are constantly fleeting. So this molecule will float by this molecule, and they'll bond through hydrogen bonds, and then they'll let each other go. And this is happening all over. So you have all these little fleeting bonds, and this guy's going to float that way. These guys will float wherever they're flowing, and some other new guy is going to come in. They're all moving around, interchanging with each other. And I would see that all the time, everywhere. Yeah, that's unity and freedom. And I would say, okay, I know we're all together and we're all free. We're all passing by each other in the street. We communicate. We interact for a moment, then we let each other go. That's how we're experiencing life, and that's what God would show me. And this works in every single state, whether it's solid, liquid, gas. It's just happening faster in gas, and it's happening slower in solids. So anyway, this exchange is constantly happening everywhere around us, and it's constantly a unification and a freeing. So once again, the coming together and the releasing, the pulsing. Now, why the drum? When, probably a few years ago, or as I've been, God trying to guide me to and push me to describe this to people, because I really didn't want to. To me, it's just something that everyone will realize. Or not, and it's not up to any of us to. That's the way I perceived it. It's all going on inside my own thing, and it's just up to me to deal with it. I never wanted to actually share music. I never wanted to talk about these things because I always felt backlash and people misunderstanding me or thinking I'm crazy. So I just wanted a normal life. But God continues to force and push what is supposed to be birthed through you. And I've surrendered. And as God wanted me to write this book, The Unity and Freedom Oracles, 2 Keys to Happiness, Hope, and the Miracle of Life, it's been an amazing process of trying to figure out how to describe it, right? Now, as I was walking around over time, seeing the infinity pulsing, and I would ask God, how can I describe this to people? And I would draw these pictures, and all of a sudden God shows me this drum. This is the perfect thing to describe it. Now, these images come in, and that's why we're supposed to share what we're experiencing, because not only does it help us make sense of stuff, but it can also help others make sense of things in their own way. And that's why I'm sharing this. And also because I believe we're all supposed to get along with each other and be in harmony, because we're all saying the same thing in different ways. And we're not here to kill each other. We're here to love each other and to support each other and to learn each other's languages and all kinds of stuff. So I drew this pellet and one top half of this. And we're going to first show how this creates the infinity through imagining the drum as being stationary. Now this is a top view. So this obviously is like this. If we're to imagine looking at it from the top, if I'm holding it. Oh yeah, this is also the drum of Shiva, which is the creation and destruction of the constant, ever-present cycling of creation and destruction. And it's seen in every culture. Many, many, many cultures have this, and I'll list as many as I can find. But so many have independently connected to this drum and created it in their own versions, that to me, this once again signifies the bridging of love between all of us and the bridging of the heartbeat. And this drum was actually created by the African Heartwood Project. And it goes further, because why was I connected to this? But through connecting through the drum and consciously connecting to the center of Mother Earth over years and years. Now, here is when we, and I'll flash up the way of compassion and autonomy. If you look at the start point, and you'll see this is like the reveal and start point. So this is going to travel around like that. This is going to travel around like that. If we're imagining that the drum head right now is being stationary and only the pellets are moving. In actuality, the drum head moves. But if we keep this stationary, this is the path, which is the path of the infinity. So this is a unity moment, a reveal moment, when it just starts to come out from itself. This, of course, is the freedom. Of course, this moment, freedom. Then, as it travels, of course, this is freedom. As it travels this way, we have the exchange. So he goes. That is the recombining moment. So here's the recombining. Then we have the pulse moment. So we had the recombining and then the pulse of, again, I am safe, I am free. This non-stop pulsing is happening like this. Freedom, right? So this in shape essentially is the most fundamental harmonic that you can experience. This is why we see it in the magnetic field pole. This is why we see it on the earth, why we have poles. These magnetic flux lines are basically moving in an infinite pattern. Now, the amazing thing is, so is the Earth, and everything is constantly doing this at varying speeds. So, if you were to zoom in to the most fundamental particle, this is what you would see, but you can't have an external instrument to be able to detect this. You have to go inward to discover this. Because this is what's inside the heart. You're never going to be able to build an external instrument or a scientific particle destroyer that will be able to reach it until you discover it inside. This is why the ancients knew they knew already. Why would they understand this? Because they were connecting to the pulse of love and God. The pulse of life. So many different cultures across the globe in our evolution have connected to the same thing. And they all have their own various versions of describing what it is. God showed me that this is what it is, and that this is actually love that is bridging us and uniting us. Now, to go further, of course, and we'll show a slower replay. this is not stationary. There's a purpose for that. Because this whole thing is being tick-tocked at 180. It's flip-flopping. Then, as this is moving, it simultaneously moves this way. So you have this at 90 degrees, which is the freedom moment. The drum goes 180 degrees. This is at the 90 degree point. And this comes there, and that goes there. So you have these overlapping formations where essentially each pellet will travel to all the way around, as the drum itself is in this tick-tock, 180 degree tick-tock back and forth. This right here describes why the magnetic poles of the Earth will flip-flop. So this will become minus, and that will become plus, and these will actually flip-flop over time. Every 300,000 years, the magnetic pole flip-flops. This flipping-flopping of the infinity is described by this. What this is also describing is, if we're to take the drum away, this is where sacred geometry comes from when it comes to, for instance, the Unity and Freedom 12-petaled lotus of the heart comes from this pattern. That pattern is called a cardioid, equals heart. And this is the fundamental pulse of this. As you begin to overlay these, you'll get the flower of happiness. Now that flower of happiness is just the pulse of the heart overlaid, and there's 12 of them because God had showed me that is the 12-petaled lotus of the heart. And that is why it is the heart of happiness, love, and harmony. And it is the flower of happiness. It is the 12-petaled lotus of the heart. Now, that is a miracle of God. And those pulses, these are flowers. This is why the flower is the pulse of love. Flowers are harmonic expressions of love. And yeah, this is a miracle of God. Now, the other thing is, so the drum is our heartbeat that connects us to each other and to our Mother Earth and our one God, and that is love. The drum equals the heartbeat, the pulse, unity and freedom. So, global happiness, love, and harmony is a real, true experience that we are moving toward, I believe. And I'm hoping that this will help. And the power through the drum is like the drum beat is the heartbeat, it's the pulse. It is our heartbeat that connects us to each other and to our Mother Earth. At the center of Mother Earth is love infinite love. It's the infinity pulse of the one love. This is inside each of us. It's inside our Mother Earth. It is the nature of God. It is love that connects us. Unity and freedom. I am safe, free, loved, and happy. If we all want to exist in harmony, we do unto yourself and all others what makes all feel safe, free, loved, and happy. This shape is the heart-shaped cardioid that creates the flower of happiness, that is the pulse of sacred geometry. This fundamental infinity, if we were able to detect it, it would describe the truth of all quantum particles and mechanics and energy. It's observed in the flip-flopping of the... This is also describes... The flip-flopping describes two different spirals. So you have a spiral like this. Actually, yeah, this would describe one spiral this way, one spiral this way, and then you would have the other one. And that describes, we'll show the graphic, but the two spirals show, that accounts for 50% of all the galaxies in the universe, roughly. If you were to be able to count them, scientists will say that roughly 50% are spinning right-handedly and 50% are spinning left-handed. That has to do with this flip-flopping, the tick-tock. And it has to do with unity and freedom, the two spirals that are tick-tocking at our heart of happiness. Unity, freedom. Now, this unity and freedom, and going to search if others had connected to the same message, the earliest record that I could see so far is from the warm heart of Africa equals our motherland. So I found that unity and freedom is the Malawi, Africa motto and their slogan. And as far as I can see, this is the earliest record of this message that I saw probably a year ago in researching. Now, I don't know if they came up with it maybe either 1964 to 1965. That's when they gained independence from Great Britain. And they are known as the warm heart of Africa, the pulse of global happiness, love, and harmony that God has been sending through me by God's grace to do unto yourself and all others what makes all feel safe, free, loved, and happy. That is the nature of the love of Christ. That message has been coming from Unity and Freedom, Malawi, Africa. And their version, I believe, of what they call this is but for several years I've been playing this. And this same has saved my life. That drum has saved my life, and it comes, the beginning of everything is our mother. All of us, all people, we all came, all humans came from, on this planet, from our home, which unites us all. We're all one people. And I've been wearing this. And I didn't know why I had both of them. But a dear brother African djembe master named Papa Malik here in America gave me this at one of my drum circles. And I've had memories of living in Africa, and I have telepathic connections and communications. And I've been wearing this, and I've been wearing this crucifix. And I didn't exactly know why. I had different messages coming through of why that was like this. But it is love, 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 unity and freedom. And I want to say hello to all the people of the world. And this, I've played years of drums of all different cultures, and I'll show a picture of it. But this is like, this is a Turkish doumbek, handmade from Turkey. And I've had many, many other drums by God's grace. Thank you to all the people and all the cultures. They're all our brothers and sisters. And we're here to connect to each other through the heart of love. And music is the key. Music comes from the center of Mother Earth. I want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to God. Thank you to all the people. Thank you to all the cultures. Thank you to Malawi, Africa. We are saying the same message. And all of us, every country and every people, all of us. All people. All people. Thank you to the world. Thank you to every religion. Thank you to every person. We are all together. We are all one family. I love you all. And I'm so grateful to God to be able to be here with all of you and to share this message of happiness, love, and harmony. And thank you to our Mother Africa. Thank you to all that play the drum and connect to the heartbeat, for without that, I would not be alive on this planet. And I would have surely killed myself because it was too difficult to bear. And this allowed me to connect to Mother Earth and to connect to my heart and to connect to people. And I'm grateful to all of you. Thank you, God. We will close with the miracle, prayer, and oath of unity and freedom. My life is my precious gift to experience the grace of God, that is eternal mercy and redemption for all. With humility, forgiveness, compassion, and gratitude, I live fully aligned with the will of God, that is perfect love, happily balanced and whole in peace and harmony, with loving kindness from my heart. All I receive and all I give is for mutual empowerment, interdependence, and selflessness, for the betterment of all, in heaven, on earth, and in all realms. All thanks, all praise, all glory to God, the one love. I am safe. I am free. I am loved. And I am happy. In unity and freedom. Amen. This process of pulsing, of the unity, freedom, oneness, never ends, and it's never begun. It's just always like that. And that, even though that sounds unfathomable, there never just was a beginning. It never just started, and it will never end. As crazy as that is, God is unfathomable in the way that it is beyond having a beginning. Really, there's no such thing as linear time. Everything, as best as we can conceive as humans and to receive, is in radial patterns like the way light behaves. And eventually we will get to why it's this spiral. Everything works in spirals. You see it in the seashell. The spiral that goes in towards us. Everything works in that. Light works in that. It's the Fibonacci. It's the most harmonic pattern of the way that information can be communicated. That's why light is the fastest that we can perceive and give it a upper speed limit. Even though that is not the fastest at all. We are here as telepathic beings. We are here to communicate beyond the speed of light. We are here to time travel and travel through dimensions. Now, all that stuff may sound crazy, but there are a lot of people out there that are awakening to this, and it's been going on for a long time. We are beings on this planet, part of a massive whole of all kinds of beings and all kinds of intelligences, but it all goes back to God, the creator of everything. Now, this message and transmission of unity and freedom comes from God through what in the beginning is the ETS of UFO. Enter the sun of unified freedom oneness. And it's also known as the same pulse of the GM 108X pulse that the law of time came from. But the good news is, as maybe far out there as that may seem, or maybe misunderstood or not understood at this moment, the whole point of it is we are here to connect with each other. This drum is proof of it. From my perspective, it comes from God, and it talks about the love of God, and that we are all here to experience love. Now,